So final 15, down the stretch they come, Dave, and the Flyers, if they're playing from behind in terms of the one team out of the playoffs right now, they're in pretty good position. They've set themselves up pretty well for these final 15.
Yeah, they've got the 2 games in hand, like you mentioned, and they also have 2 games against Detroit. They've got 3 games left against the Penguins. So they're still very much in control of their own destiny, despite being 3 points out of a playoff spot at the moment. And Jake Voracek today, who got on the ice with his teammates for the first time since his injury, said, you know what, all the pressure's on the other 2 teams, not on us, when you look at the way that the Flyers have been playing. So he seems pretty confident, and the rest of the team is playing very confident.
Is he confident he'll be able to play tomorrow?
No, he will not play tomorrow. Wednesday seems kind of up in the air. I would say it's more likely that he returns on Saturday when the Pittsburgh Penguins come to town.
All right, so possibly no Voracek here. Now, they've got, correct me if I'm wrong, of the final 15, 6 of those games are going to be on back-to-back nights.
10 of them. They have 5 back-to-back situations out of their last 15. It's remarkable the way that the schedule has worked out. I mean, these guys had 5 days off in the second week of the season. Like how the schedule makers got through this, I don't know what they were on, but the Flyers certainly have a tough road to finish out the regular season here.
All right. Now, obviously, down the stretch they come. You talk about the goaltending situation. We saw Mason play. Would he have played, do you think, Saturday night if Neuvirth's not sick?
No, Neuvirth was scheduled to get that start for the Flyers. And like you said, he was out sick, but I think the Flyers end up going back with Steve Mason tomorrow against the Red Wings. I would think Neuvirth would play Wednesday against the Chicago Blackhawks out in Chicago. And I spoke with him today, and he said he's feeling fine now, so that shouldn't be a problem going forward.
All right, they play the Red Wings tomorrow night, as you mentioned, and then Chicago on Wednesday night. Of these 3 teams, the Flyers have played the best, but are you seeing a team that is playing consistent right now? I mean, could you have the feeling, so many times you watch games, especially a team that, quite frankly, is not even a playoff team right now. Is this the team that they've become, though? Are they a consistent team, in your opinion?
Well, I think they still need a little bit more of a sample size to show that they're consistent, but this is the best hockey that they've played in quite some time. As Voracek mentioned today, they even played well, which doesn't sound right, in their 4-0 loss to the Edmonton Oilers. They ran into a really hot goalie. They had a bad first period, but after that they played really well. Everything just seems to be going right within the Flyers system. I'll have a story on this tomorrow, but that's what the guys have been saying, is that when everything is operating the way that it should, other things are taking care of themselves. For instance, the Flyers had 3 straight games holding their opponent to less than 20 shots. That hadn't happened since 1996, or 1999 rather, but in any event, a rather long time. And the Flyers are saying that, well, you know what, that's just a side effect of everything else going well. So they haven't put an extra emphasis on defense. It's just when they're running the system the way that Dave Axel wants them to, these are the kind of things that end up going right for them.
And Dave, typically when you see a team play consistent, it's because they are getting some stuff from their role players, and that's what's really happened for this team over the last month.
Yeah, the role players have kind of taken over. The top line of Braden Shen, Claude Giroux, and Wayne Simmons, they haven't been as productive as they were at other points in the season when they were really carrying this team. Sam Gagner now has 4 points in his last 4 games. Guys like Michael Raffle, Nick Cousins are guys that are stepping up and scoring goals for the Flyers when they need him. Obviously, the most clutch player of all has been Shane Gostisbehere. He's got 15 in the season. Each one of them has either tied the game or given the Flyers a lead. So he's been extra clutch for them. But those role guys have been pinching in. And those are the kind of guys, when you watch the Chicago Blackhawks go deep in the playoffs every year, these are the guys that end up getting paid because they produced in big moments. This isn't a huge moment yet for the Flyers, but it's pretty big in that it could potentially get them to the playoffs. If these guys do, carry that over into the playoffs, that's when they start making some paychecks for themselves going forward.
At Dave G. Isaac on Twitter, of course, Courier Post online. Dave, they can get within a point of Detroit if they win that game tomorrow night against the Red Wings. Let me ask you this question, though. Shen, you mentioned him as one of these role guys. He has played really well up on that top line. Where does Voracek land when he returns?
That's a good question. I think he will probably go on the second line somewhere. Right now, that is Raffl, Couturier, and Gagner. To me, I don't think you can take Sam Gagner out of the lineup. I think he's been too good, producing too much in that top six role. The odd thing about him is that he's only really effective for this team in a top six role. If you put him on the fourth line, he's just not going to do anything. He doesn't touch the puck enough there. He doesn't get enough ice time there. If it were me, I would take out one of the fourth line guys, bump Michael Raffl down there because he can kind of play anywhere, and put Voracek on the left wing with Couturier and Gagner. But the way that Dave Hackstall's gone, it's really tough to read him.
6-1-1 stretch, 22 goals. They've been pretty good offensively, which was really their Achilles heel, virtually all the way through the month of February. They just couldn't score.
They were in the basement of the league for several months, second worst until the last time I checked, which was probably sometime in maybe early February. They're 19th in the league now. Over the last 7 games without Jake Voracek, they've averaged just shy of 4 goals a game, which is well north of the best team in the NHL's season average. That's the Dallas Stars. They're like 3.6 or something like that. So the Flyers are really finding ways to put the puck in the net. Earlier in the season, you would have looked at this stretch and said, this team needs to put some of these goals on layaway for a later date. But the way that they're playing now, they might be able to see this through the final 15.
So no Voracek the next couple of nights. Dave says possibly on Saturday is when you can expect him to come back, and hopefully that should only give a little bit more life to this offense, which, as Dave mentioned, they scored 4 goals in the shootout loss the other night to the Florida Panthers. They have been pretty good on offense. We'll see. They got 15 left with those back-to-backers starting tomorrow. You know what? I missed that back-to-back because it's a Saturday-Sunday. There's one that I missed. Ottawa-Pittsburgh to start that first week of April. They got 2 back-to-backs, Dave, in the last week of the season. Real rough. And then they play Pittsburgh twice and Detroit in there. That last week of the season really could really make everything go. Those last couple of games right there could change the fate of 3 different teams.
It could. It's really interesting to think that game that got snowed out in Brooklyn that's going to get made up on April 10th, the last game of the season, that could become really important. And I don't understand. I mean, we talked about the scheduling a little bit earlier. I don't get how the NHL screwed this up. How do you make that game 7:30 p.m.? I mean, that could have been a chance to play a game in the afternoon and have hopefully a little bit shorter than the CBS selection show, but some kind of playoff preview where you're looking at all these teams in the nighttime, and now they've got to wait to do it in prime time, and it's towards 10 or 11. But I don't get it. I'm not an NHL schedule maker. Clearly, I can barely.
You know what? And that because I keep counting this over. I see 4 back-to-backs, but that makeup game is on the 10th, which is that final Sunday of the season, and that's Pittsburgh, and the Islanders will now be their closeout year game. There's the game that I keep saying, where's that 5th back-to-back? And there it is.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I forget which one of the teams. I think it might be Detroit. No, Detroit started their year with 4 straight Friday, Saturday back-to-backs. One of their division teams, it might be Pittsburgh, ends their season with 3 consecutive back-to-backs. It's crazy. Claude Giroux said, well, sometimes you get a back-to-back in the playoffs, but that's just got to wear a team down. If you get into the playoffs after playing consecutive nights 3 times in a row, that's just brutal.
Yeah, but and by the way, give the team credit. They not only beat Tampa to close out their homestand, they went on the road and beat them the other night too. So the string of beating good teams continues for the Flyers. They beat Tampa Bay twice in the last week. Now they're going to have to build on that by playing Detroit tomorrow night, 3 points back in that wild card chase. Dave Isaac at Dave G. Isaac on Twitter. All right, pal. Good stuff.
Thanks, Mike.
You got it. Dave Isaac, everybody.